I have a quote from Maya Angelou, which I think is really kind of touches the specific point of what volunteerism is. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you do, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So I think for those of you who volunteer or work in an agency with volunteers, I think that kind of speaks to the heart. And volunteerism has a lot of definitions, though. If you look in the dictionary or Google it, a thesaurus, it covers the whole gamut. But this is the definition that I like, and that's kind of how I'm going to organize my little chat with you today. Is that a volunteer is someone who gives time, effort, and talent to a need or a cause without profiting monetarily. So monetarily is kind of a key word there, because I think there is profit to be had from volunteering. And I'm going to tell you, this is basically the crux of what I want to say today. One area is the physical area. And this has become a real focus lately. If you've tuned into any news channels or sources, everyone's talking about how volunteerism affects your health for the better. So I am going to throw a few little statistics out at you, and this is as technical as I'm going to get today, I promise. There was a Carnegie Mellon study published by the American Psychological Association, and they identified a link between volunteers and a decreased risk of hypertension among adults 50 years of age and over. So again, that's, I think, a pretty significant statistic. And a lot of us, myself included, had suffered or do suffer from hypertension. Then there was a review of research done by the Corps for National and Community Service, and that was using data from the U.S. Census Bureau and disease control. And they found that people who suffer from lower back pain actually saw an improvement when they began to do volunteer work. There was also a longitudinal study that found that people who, during the first wave of this survey, had decreased mortality rates when a second wave of a survey was done. And this was even taking into a factor such things as age, socioeconomic status, and gender. Food for thought. And the last one I'm going to throw at you was a study by the American Journal of Health Education, and it used a national survey that found that when comparing people who volunteered to those who didn't, those who did were 1.8 times more likely to meet the CDC guidelines for physical activity. So that kind of ties into what I said before. You're up and you're moving, you're thinking less about your aches and pains. Okay. Now, there's also a psychological profit to all of this. Research has shown that volunteerism leads to lower rates of depression. All right, now why would that be? And this is for people 65 age and over. This 2014 study was in Psychological Bulletin. And basically, it's arising from the direction that when you move to an area, say like when I relocated here to Prescott with a significant other, retirement or early retirement or contemplating retirement, and then there becomes a change in your domestic life or your living situation. And it can really have an effect on your moods and how you feel. And people, quite logically, would tend to feel a little bit down and at a more, intense level, depressed. So volunteerism is kind of like a good nudge to get you out of that feeling a little bit down and focusing on what's wrong or what's not the way you want it to be in your life. But here's a little caveat as well. In order for it to have an effect, this study and a couple of others look at 40 years, sorry, not 40 years, 40 hours a year for it to actually take effect. So I think if you've started to take a new medication, or you're trying to lose weight and following a diet or taking new vitamins, I think we all realize it's not going to happen overnight. You do have to invest some time into it to see if there's going to be a change. So, and then I wanted to talk about the social profit of volunteering. Again, a lot of studies showing lately that isolation is one of the major factors that is causing a lot of decline as people age, all right? And that if you live your day by feeling anxious or alienated, I mean, we live in a crazy world today. I mean, it's easy to feel that way and get overwhelmed by everything that's going around you or on around you. So when you volunteer, basically you're leaving your problems behind and you're trying to help someone else with theirs. You get a sense of meaning and a feeling of appreciation, so it in turn can help relieve some stress. You know, you're doing a good positive thing, you're reaching out, you're getting feedback. So in a sense then, yes, you're profiting socially. And when you connect with others, you have a feeling of helping, doing good, you know, and just being a better person in your own environment. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And the last statistic here is that there is such a thing as a happiness effect. And the researchers from the London School of Economics claim that volunteering creates this happiness effect. So people, according to a study that they did, and 16% very happy if they volunteered weekly. So that's a pretty good recipe. There you go. A lot of people can relate to that, right? Okay. Another thing is that sometimes it can be learning a new skill. So you get involved with a volunteer group, and whether it's working in a food bank or helping to build a house, you kind of get motivated to increase your own skill level, you know, and be able to contribute even a little bit more to the group that you're volunteering with. So keeping yourself more cognitively engaged and inspired, you know, that's going to improve all of your critical thinking and, you know, kind of keeping you young in mind and heart. So those are what I consider to be the real benefits and the profits of volunteering.